Well, good morning everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I have an interesting video for you today. I want to talk about Alone, I want to talk about season 3, and I want to talk about episode 4. So if you haven't seen that episode, I highly recommend that you turn this video off. It will contain massive spoilers. A lot of things happen in this episode. So let me go ahead and get started. So if you see me looking down occasionally, I'm looking down at my notes. The first thing that we see on the screen, there's an annotation. It's a quote, and it says, "With foxes, we must play the fox." Quoted by Thomas Fuller. We're on day 17, 10:21 in the morning, 8 people left. We're talking about Fowler. And he's practicing with his slingshot, shooting at some old man's beard on a log. So there's a log off in the distance, a little old man's beard. There's an annotation that comes on the screen, and it says, "Old man's beard is a type of moss composed of fungus and algae that resembles a human beard." And then Fowler goes on, he's talking about possibly hunting for small birds and game, such as ducks more specifically, right? And then there's an annotation on the screen again that says, "Ducks an average sized duck will yield over a pound of meat." So back to Fowler, he's looking at his target. It's about 20 feet away, and me personally, I was wondering if he was using the stones from the ground or if he was using his little balls that he brought of ammo. Because if he was using those balls of ammo that he brought with him on the show, he's limited on that. He only had, like, I can't remember, 15 of them or something like that. And then later on I find out that he is using stones. He's not happy with the amount of fish that he's catching. And I noticed that he's still using a rope ridgeline with a tarp A-frame type shelter. And I'm blown away about that. It's day 17. It's starting to get cold over there. I'm surprised that Fowler has not built a nice permanent type shelter yet. I can't believe it. You know, my opinion, and it's just that, it's an opinion, but my opinion is that would be one of my first objectives if I was to be chosen for the show, is shelter. So then he sees a duck. We're going back to Fowler again. He sees a duck swimming around, and he decides he's going to try to take a shot with his slingshot at this duck. He's going to go for a headshot on him. And he said if he gets one, if he hits one, a duck out there, it'll be worth swimming out there for it. And I agree with him. The water's cold, but sometimes when let's not forget they're on day 17, and he's probably hungry. So then there's an annotation on the screen again that says, "Ducks are most abundant in Patagonia's cold season, May through August." So Fowler takes a shot and he nails it. The duck falls, boom. Looks like a direct hit, right? Wow! It looked like a far shot too, is what I wrote here. He's a good shot, is what my notes were. He's happy. And he said he loves his slingshots. And then the duck's head pops up. The duck just went underwater for a minute. He dove down. So the duck's now going further away from where he originally was, so Fowler's kind of frustrated. He says the slingshot is turning out to be much harder than he thought it would be. He said that, but that gives him an idea to make a duck trap out there. Now let's move forward. Day 17, 12:27, 8 people left. We're talking about Dave. Dave, he looks happy. Says he loves his shelter. He has a pole, right? Like pole A-frame shelter with a tarp over it. Very nice construction that he did. He said it's warm inside there. His front and back walls are logs, so they're literally like my fingers. They're logs stacked on top of each other with other logs like this. sandwiching these logs together just like you would make a fire reflector. Very nice shelter. So it looks nice. He's going to decide that he's going to work on a door using a mix of old and new bamboo. Now there's another annotation that comes on the screen, and it says bamboo is in the grass family, but its hard outer shell is more water resistant than hardwood. That's crazy. So he uses old bamboo to make a triangle like this type frame, and then he lashes it together with fishing line. Very smart. He weaves in the new bamboo, because they're green, in and out. So he has, let me explain that one more time. He has a triangle and he's lashed pieces of wood in there. I think they were actually horizontal like this, and then he weaved the new bamboo in there. Looks great. He's real happy. Let's move forward. We're still on day 17, 3:43 in the afternoon, 8 people left. We're talking about Megan. 45 degrees outside, and she's shaving her legs with her knife. She has a nice tripod over her fire, I noticed. So she's got the tripod going on. She hasn't caught any fish yet. And then an annotation comes on the screen, and it says Megan has subsisted solely on plants throughout her 17 days on Patagonia. Did you hear that? She has not ate any protein yet. So she's talking about her trigger fishing traps that she's not going to give up. They haven't been successful for her, apparently. She says the lake's not going to get the best of her. Says, I have to get at least one fish out of that lake. Gonna go check her traps. She says that her family goes salmon fishing around this time of the year, and they're probably having more luck than she is. And what do you know? She has a fish, but it's stuck. The fish is stuck. She's gonna strip down and go in the water and get the fish. Now, she's not the only one that we've seen entertain that idea. Then another annotation comes on the screen, and it says Patagonia lakes can drop below 45 degrees, which is cold enough to induce hypothermia. Hypothermia reduces the body's blood flow, inhibiting its ability to retain energy. It starts by cutting off blood to the extremities and becomes fatal when it reaches the heart and brain. That's crazy. 41 degrees. So we're moving forward. We're still on day 17, still talking about Megan, still have 8 people left. 5:18 in the afternoon. The current water temperature is 41 degrees. That was a little annotation that comes on the screen. And she came up, she was already in the water. She stripped down pretty much, I think, down to like her underwear or something. The water looked really cold, and she comes up, she looks like she's really, really cold. And she said, I lost it. She wasn't in the water very long, I noticed. She's upset. And let's move forward. 7:47, we're still talking about Megan. She said she can't believe it. She's in her shelter now, and she's sitting by a nice warm fire, fully clothed. And she's warming up. She said the lake keeps pounding her with losses. She says her legs are red and freezing cold. She says this is the first day she's really felt alone. Day 17 is for her. She says watching the biggest fish swim away today made her really want a hug from her family. She says that she needs this protein. I don't blame her. I feel for her. Let's move forward. Day 18, 8 people left, 9:23 in the morning. Good morning, Greg. He has a pot of water over the fire. He found some plant material that looks like grass. He says he's going to try to make a tea and find out if it's okay. He says never do too much when you're finding out, and I agree. There's an annotation that comes on the screen, and it says certain plants can be tested for toxicity by holding them in your mouth for 15 minutes before swallowing. So he tries the tea, says it doesn't have much of a taste to it. He says hopefully the plant is safe to eat. Then he jokes around. He's like, oh, acting like he's dying. It was kind of funny, like he was getting sick or something. He says he thinks it's going to be okay. He says the food situation is starting to become an issue. He said that he needs protein. Says, I'd hate to get forced out of here because of starvation. I don't think there's anyone out there that is not thinking that exact thought right there, folks. Starvation. Me personally, I feel the exact same way. I think he's dealing with some issues. I think every contestant out there at this point, 18 days, I think they're dealing with it. So he decides he's thinking about pigs. Again, he decides to go check his snares. There was another annotation on the screen, and it says, last week, Greg set a boar snare nearby using fish guts for bait. So he goes, he checks his traps, or excuse me, his snares, and he finds out the bait is gone, and the snare was sprung, but there's nothing there. So he's going to go check the trail cam where was I here? To see what happened. And then there's another annotation on the screen, and it says each participant is given a motion-activated camera to monitor animal activity. Are you serious? That's cool. What a tool that they give you. That is amazing. Good tool. Wow. That is cool. So he's looking back at the camera, and he's looking at day 17, which was yesterday for him, about 11:43 at night, and he sees a fox. Coyote, fox, he wasn't sure at this point. He says that the fox was stealing his bait. He's talking about catching that fox and eating it. I would too, to be honest with you. I'd be hunting me some fox. So let's move forward. Day 18, 11:49 in the morning. We still have 8 people left. We're talking about Fowler again. He's thinking about making this duck trap. He needs more food. And then an annotation comes on the screen, and it says duck meat is rich in vitamin B, vitamin B and iron. Got tongue-tied there. So he sees ducks, but they're too far away for him to hit them with the slingshot. He decides that today is going to be trap building day. So he finds a nice plank of wood, and he's going to use the rubber bands off of his slingshot to wind up a paddle. He's basically going to use the rubber band as a motor to send the trap out. He decides to make a launching dock to release the trap. He builds it around 30 feet long. It looks simple and effective. And that trap and dock are really cool. Now, I'm impressed. I gotta be honest with you, my first opinion of Fowler burning all these calories to build this little dock were, dude, this is a waste of calories. But after I saw how he actually made it and how simple it was, I agree with him. I think it's a great plan. And I'll say this one more time, I'm impressed by it. What he did was he took, X's, he took logs, they were probably this big around, and he put them like X's. He drove them down into the soil, so he had this kind of a pattern. He had probably, 8 or 10 of them like this, and then he laid a log right down in between them lengthwise. So he made this little dock. He's using fish heads as bait. I think that dock and trap that he made is really cool. He's been saving these fish heads for over a week. He's using them as bait, and he's got rocks with them. I'll explain that a little more here in a minute. The idea is that the duck will go for the bait, pull the string, the rocks will fall and pull the ducks underwater and drown them. What? How do you think of that out there? Very smart. Fowler is very smart, very crafty. He has the trap connected to the fishing line. That way he can pull it back at any time. It's really cool. So I made a little drawing. I'm going to show you this crude little drawing right here. Hopefully you can see that. That's kind of an idea of what his trap looked like. So he's got this board. He's got the weights on there, and he's got the fish heads. And the way he built the motor, he took 2 pieces of wood, he batoned them down, and he had 2 pieces of wood and he fit them together like a paddle. Very, very smart. So when he launched the trap, it looks like it went out pretty far, like 50, maybe 70 feet. I thought that was really cool. He's excellent with wood. That was my thought right there at that moment. So let's move forward. We're on day 19, 10:07 in the morning, 8 people left, still talking about Fowler. He woke up splashing. He hears this splashing sound. Looks like a fish. It's flipped over. His trap was literally flipped upside down. He caught a fish on the trap. He made a duck trap and caught a fish. He didn't expect that. I didn't either. So he gets the fish. He sends the trap back out. So far, it's looking effective. I think Fowler's doing a good job here. He might have a decent way of securing calories. I don't know. Let's move forward. 12:42. We're on day 19 still, talking about Britt. 8 people left. Britt's shelter looks nice. He decided to install a urinal. I think that's very smart. Someone in a previous season did that. I'm wanting to say that it was season 2. The fellow that did the push-ups, the veteran. I'm wanting to say it was him. Very smart. I think that's very smart for the reason that you don't have to exit your shelter and go get out in the cold to go urinate. I think it's smart. So he gets up, he decides to go check his fish lines, and there's an annotation on the screen that says Britt hasn't caught any fish in 8 days. He decides to focus on wild edibles, and he says that his energy is starting to feel low, and he's getting tired faster. And honestly, he's looking kind of thin. And then he finds a mushroom, a red one. I don't know about you, but in the Mario games, when you there's that death mushroom, better watch out. So there's an annotation on the screen. It says, when cow tongue mushrooms are cut, they ooze a red juice that looks like blood. And I got excited about this next part. He found plantain. Plantain is one of my favorite wild edibles. It's also a good wild medicinal. And I was like, wow, one of my favorites. And then there's another annotation on the screen. It says 1 cup of raw plantains has double the vitamin C, 3 times the sodium, and 20 times the vitamin A of a banana. That's crazy. So he's going to use some snares and try for rabbits. He said he's getting low on paracord. He's going to use fishing line for his snares. It is what it is. I mean, he's getting down to his resources here. Then there's another annotation on the screen, and it says snares are preferred by fur traders because they cause minimal damage to the animal's pelt. Let's move forward. Day 20. 3:37 in the afternoon. We still have 8 people left. We're talking about Megan. She saw fish feeding. She decides to go fishing. She's losing weight. She needs to get some protein. Again, there's another annotation on the screen. It says Megan has only consumed edible vegetation since her arrival 20 days ago. Now her fish trap has a fish. Cool, I'm excited, I'm happy for her. She's happy. She went in and got wet to get the fish. It was a beautiful brown trout. Now, there's an annotation on the screen and it says a fillet of this brown trout is packed with more protein per ounce than chicken or duck. So, she's gonna eat all the fish and use the internals as bait. And then there's another annotation that says boiling fish in water helps preserve vital omega-3 fatty acids. Let's move forward. Day 23. Greg, 8 people left, 10:39 in the morning. He wants to get meat. He's gonna go fox hunting. Now, we all know that he's been thinking about this for a while. He decides on a deadfall trap. He puts bamboo stakes down into the ground to channel the animal into the deadfall. Then there's an annotation on the screen and it says early deadfall traps can be traced to pre-colonial Native Americans. deadfalls can be built large enough to crush a 400-pound boar, I think is what it meant to say, or bear. I don't know what I wrote. It looks like bear, but I think I meant to say boar, to death. Now Greg's getting thin and desperate for food. And again, folks, I said this before and I'll say it again. I don't know of anyone out there that's not getting desperate at this point for food. I know I certainly would be. So day 26, 11:19 at night, Greg's looking at the game camera and it shows a fox walking right in his trap. Didn't spring it or take the bait. Day 27, 9:28 in the morning, Greg, 8 people left. He keeps coming back, that fox does. Bait's gone now. Bamboo for trigger is gone too. He works on the trap again today, tries to make the trigger lighter. Day 31, 2 in the morning. Still talking about Greg, still have 8 people left. The game camera shows the fox outside the trap, and that little sucker, he's putting his paw in between the bamboo slats and he's grabbing the bait. Wow. It's crazy. Then there's an annotation on the screen and it says foxes can squeeze through an opening as small as 4 square inches. That's crazy. Day 31, 9:37 in the morning. Greg, trap is still set, but the fox took the bait again. He feels depressed because nothing is going right. And I'm going to quote him now, Greg. Let's not forget they are 1 month in, 31 days. And I'm quoting Greg. He says, "It's easy to get negative because of weather, lack of food, would love to get on a plane and go home." He's thinking about the words of his daughter. And her words are, "Even when you think you can't do it, Dad, just hang in there. You need this." What a smart daughter. Wow. If I get selected for the show, I hope my daughter says something like that to me, that I can take out there with me. You need this. He wants to give her something in her life. He wants to build her a house this year, maybe a little guest house for himself on some acreage. This chance will never come again, but I'm really struggling to want to be here. I knew that this day would come, and it's just a terrible feeling in your heart. You just want to be at home. Man, I feel for him. Day 31. I think he should stay on it and get that fox. Put more bamboo slats in. I don't know. I don't know if he has got the resources or the energy to do it, to be honest. I don't know. Let's move forward. Day 34. Britt, 12:28 in the morning. 8 people left. He has a nice shelter. He's feeling low on energy. 23 days since he caught a fish. He's going to go check his rabbit trap. He misses his family. He's here doing this for them. Snares are all chewed up. There's an annotation on the screen. It says a rabbit can exert 21.4 pounds of force with his bite, enough to chew through wood. Britt's running out of snare wire. He was hoping the fishing line would work. He knew it would catch and hold them, but he didn't think they would chew out of it. He's gonna go get water to boil. He doesn't have desire or energy to do much, so he's on a daily routine. There's another annotation on the screen, folks. It says prolonged hunger can lead to personality changes such as impulsivity, anxiety, and depression. He's thinking about his family. He wants to be at and do what they're doing. He says he doesn't feel that this feeling will subside. So let me clarify that. He wants to be at and do what they're doing. Let's move forward. Day 35, 10:28 in the morning. 8 people left. We're talking about Britt. He's carrying firewood. and he wants to go. He says, I'm doing this for my family now. I've already done it for myself. He knows he can survive out there. He's thinking a lot about his family. Then there's an annotation on the screen, and this is something I didn't know until now. It says each person is allowed to bring a personal photo that does not count towards their 10 items. Excuse me. So he's sitting in his shelter, he's looking at this photograph, and he says, it's time to come see you guys. He taps. He calls in. Wow. I was shocked. You know, Britt made it longer than I thought he would. I have tons of respect for him, as well as every other participant out there. I got tons, mad respect for these people. And the last thing I'm going to leave you guys with on this episode is Britt made a quote, and I hope I'm saying this right, but he said, Patagonia is like a beautiful prison. Wow, what an amazing episode. So folks, I want to say thank you for joining me today on this episode of Alone, my commentary, Season 3, Episode 4. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts. I hope you had some good, useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave your comments down below, and please hit that thumbs up for me. If you'd like to share the video to any of your friends, please feel free to do that as well. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. I hope you guys all have a beautiful day. We'll talk at you later.